Welcome back, it's BrewBQ'n. Today we are doing something special here at Petco Park, which is the home stadium of the San Diego Padres, which was voted #1 park in the country a couple years ago. They have some of the best food, a lot of the best craft beer. One of my favorite things to get there is the Tritip nachos. They're absolutely incredible. They come from the Seaside Market. They have some sour cream, a little bit of barbecue sauce, the Tritip obviously, and then they call it Cali nacho sauce. We're gonna reenact these. They're absolutely incredible, so let's get to it. So today the star of the show is the Tritip. We've got a really nice piece of meat here. It's not a huge Tritip, so it shouldn't take that long to cook, but we're gonna cook it. We're gonna crutch it at about 120 degrees. I want to try and retain as much moisture in this thing as possible, collect all of it that catches into the foil there, and just kind of cook it a little slower. We're cooking it on the Yoder here. It's set up at 275, and I have the diffuser panel out, so we're going directly over the heat. But it's gonna be, like I said, a low heat, so I want it to cook a little slower just to kind of retain as much moisture as possible. So let's get started on this thing. For the rub, we are using Spiceology's MP Mesquite Peppercorn Lager Rub. Now, if you've never seen any of these, this is the Spiceology rub. It's kind of cool. They come in a beer can. Has a little plastic lid that you can cover it up if you don't use it all. But what you can do with these, you can either use them as a dry rub like I'm going to do now. You can use them as a marinade that gives you recommendations on what kind of beer to marinate it in, how much time, this and that. They've got a ton of different flavors. I really like this mesquite peppercorn one. It's really versatile. So we're going to start off with this. We'll rub that in. All right, so just to add a little bit of extra heat and a little bit of extra earthiness to this, we're gonna be adding some red chili flake, crushed chilies, and some also ground ancho chili powder. Now this, if you haven't used it, adds a ton of flavor, a lot of earthiness. It's not like very spicy. So we're gonna rub these on. All right, and just to kind of help adhere everything, we've got some avocado oil here. So we'll get that on, get that all nice and rubbed in. And we will just repeat on the backside as well. The other thing you might have noticed when I flipped this around, this Tritip came fully trimmed, so there's none of the fat cap on it. So it's a nice, just clean piece of meat. All right, as I said, we're just going straight over the firebox here. We're gonna use a meat thermometer just to, zero in exactly where we want it. Like I said, at 120, we're gonna crutch this thing, take it to about 140, and then we'll pull it off, let it rest to about 145, and cut it up and make these nachos. As always, the meat's on. It's my favorite time of the day, beer of the daytime. Today we are going with, this is Duckfoot Brewing's Duckzilla. This thing is a monster, comes in at 8.6%. It's a double white IPA. Has 95 IBUs on it. They use the malted wheat to give it that white IPA, kind of fade it out a little bit. Let's give this thing a try, huh? All right, here we go. Check this thing out. A little hazy. That's probably from the malted wheat. Wheat's gonna always add a little bit of haze. It's got a nice head to it. The can says it has the kind of a traditional West Coast style of a hop recipe, hop schedule. We'll go with that, hop schedule. It's got Cascade, Centennial, and Simcoe. And that's basically what your West Coast IPAs were for a really long time. So I expect this thing to be pretty hoppy here. Yeah, it's good. For being 8.6%, you can definitely tell it's up there, but it's not hard to drink. You definitely might get in trouble with a few of these. But yeah, you get a lot of citrus, a little bit of pine from the Centennial. It's overall a really good beer, guys. We're gonna let this thing finish up, and we'll crutch it in a minute. And in the meantime, I'll be sipping on this thing. So we'll see you guys in a few. All right, so I decided to start getting the cheese going while the steak was cooking. I'm just gonna throw it off on the side of the grill here, just let it warm up slowly. For that, I found at Smart & Final sharp aged cheddar nacho cheese, right? Sounds amazing. So that's going in the pot here. And then just to add a little bit of something extra to this, we're gonna throw in some Rotel tomato diced onion mix. We're gonna do about 2 spoonfuls. I got this like jumbo spoon here, so we're gonna do 2 spoonfuls of this. We'll mix that in. And that's just gonna add a little bit of something extra to this nacho cheese. I'm not quite sure what they consider the Cali cheese or whatever it is that they have in it, but I figure this is something close. So, all right, there we go. We've got our nacho cheese, and that's just going on. We'll just leave that in the back. It'll kind of do its thing for a while. See, the steak's looking good. Can't wait to get this thing put together. We're about 25 minutes into this cook. The tri-tip just hit 220, so let's check this thing out. Check that. It's got an awesome little crust going to it. Now we're gonna crutch this thing, all right? So we're just gonna put it in some foil, and then we're just gonna make sure that we wrap it as tight as possible. And then I'm just gonna set it towards the back, a little bit away from the fire, and that way it can just kind of slowly come back up. Cheese is looking awesome. Just kind of getting warmed up over there. This was only a 2.5 pound tri-tip. So, I mean, like I said, the total cook time as of now was 25 minutes, not that long. Should take maybe another 10 minutes to finish this up to about 140 if that. And we'll let it rest and chop this thing up. We hit about 140, pulled it off. It's been resting here for about 15 minutes. Let's dive into this thing, see what we got. Oh, check that out. So remember I said I wanted to save all the sauce or the juices from inside of this. That's why we crushed it. So all that's gonna make this nice board sauce that we're gonna be able to, when we chop the meat, mix all the meat and dip it into. It's gonna add just a ton more flavor to this. So let's get this off to the side and get this thing chopped up. As always with tri-tip, you always want to cut against the grain. Sometimes the grain even changes direction, so you might need to change which way you're cutting the tri-tip. Like right here, I can see the grain's going this way, and over here it's going this way. So you always want to be mindful of where that's at, because that just makes it that much more tender to chew. Check that. Looks so good. Smells even better. We're just gonna dice this up into small chunks so it just kind of fits over the chips, you know, easily. Okay, we got our chips here. I went with triangles. At the park, I believe they're strips, but personal preference. They are usually a white chip though when we get them, not like a yellow corn chip or anything like that, or tortilla. Definitely want a white one. First step, going with the tri-tip straight away here. I'm gonna give a nice healthy portion. And I mean, the meat's so tender, it literally like just pulls apart. Next step, we have our nacho cheese that had the Rotel tomatoes and chilies in it. The advantage too of also throwing it on the Yoder while we were cooking, it picked up some of that hickory, well, when we were using hickory pellets, it picked up some of that hickory flavor, a little bit of smoked flavor, and I'm telling you, this cheese is actually really, really amazing right now. So we're gonna drizzle this over. Okay, then we barbecue sauce, Kansas City style. My own personal recipe. Look for it on BrewBQ'n. It is there. It will blow your mind. Absolutely incredible. If you don't want to do it, if you don't want to make it, you're not feeling that adventurous, use whatever barbecue sauce you like. Sweet Baby Ray's is good. But dare you to try it. So we're going to drizzle this on here. Next step, sour cream. All right, and then at the park, the way they traditionally do it, this is all pretty much standard. Then they throw some little green onion chives on here. So that's a little bit. I want to kick it up a little bit because I just don't feel like nachos aren't nachos without jalapenos. So jalapenos are going on. And then just one last little thing, a few little leaves of cilantro, just because. All right, and there you have it, Petco's Tritip nachos. I'm telling you, these things are amazing. I cannot wait to dig into this. Let's do it. All right, I think that's the piece right there. Looks like it has a little bit of everything on it. Oh, wait, missing a jalapeno. Problem solved. Perfect bite. Here we go. Now I know when you think of nachos, you're thinking like salsa, guacamole, stuff like that. The barbecue sauce and sour cream with the tri-tip is absolutely incredible. These are amazing. I'm gonna gain about 5 pounds right now. You guys, again, thanks for showing up. We're BrewBQ'n. Appreciating comments. Don't forget to subscribe. We will see you guys next time. Cheers.